Hello, everyone. Welcome back to For the Love of Gaming's third online extravaganza. I'm very glad you are sticking with us and continue to hear the sound of my voice, both because I'm a narcissist and because we have something really special lined up for you now. With me are a number of our runners, some of whom have already done their runs and some of whom have not. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask a short list of questions that I think will pull out some interesting facts from each of them, show you, their personalities, what they like about speedrunning, and maybe a few other things too. So, in order for each of these questions, and I'll prompt you for it, so don't worry too much. But I'm just going to go in the order that's shown on the screen. So, for each question, we're going to go in order: Osborne, Tempest Mask, Fire Splitter, Electric Man, Lance Corporal Falco, and Rytro. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Yee.
I
All
approve.
right, let's do it. All right, so the first question: if you've done your run already or runs, how do you feel they went? If you haven't, are you excited? Either way, sell us on watching your run or runs. Osborne.
Okay. This is a large question because I did 4 runs this weekend already, and so one of them was a backup for Superliminal. I think that run, like, it went well because I put my marathon runs and like my personal runs obviously at very different standards. For like a marathon run, I'm just like, yeah, that was great because I think that the commentary was really good. I kind of pride myself on being able to give good commentary during runs, especially if even if I'm alone. Like, I don't necessarily need. While I feel more comfortable with like the help of another person there, just so I can, like, you know bounce off of them and have a more chill environment. I am perfectly willing and capable of doing a solo commentary, and I feel like for that went well. And just the gameplay itself, I feel like was a bit below par for or yeah, I don't know if that's a below par is a good thing in golf. So I guess above par question mark is a bad
Not up
thing.
to your own standards.
Yeah, it's not up to my own standards, I should say. I need to think of better analogies here. Um, and and so it's not up to my own standards for the gameplay. And I feel like I could say the same thing for like the majority of the runs that I did, where it's just like I think the commentary and like the environment was really, really good. And especially for my light matter run when I got to interview David Bateson, Ali Hitzel, and Stonefly and Little Ranger with the devs. Um, like, I think that's just the general consensus for the majority of my runs. It's just like the commentary was good, the environment was great. I think it was entertaining, but my gameplay itself was a little below average, I should say.
Okay, got it. I appreciate your honesty and thank you for having you stepped in places and provided substitute runs where we needed them. So I think you did tremendously, whatever the case.
Yeah, all things considered, it was good and entertaining, and that's the only thing that matters.
Tempest, you ran a fun Inti Creates game earlier in the weekend. Sell us on watching your run.
Right. So first off, okay, sorry, I had to. Okay. Second off, yeah. So I did Azure Striker Gunvolt, the very first game of what is at this point a 5-game series, counting a couple of spin-offs at this point. And I want to say that this franchise has expanded and is easily become one of my favorite investments in recent time. If you all are a fan of the Mega Man Zero and ZX games, then Inti Creates were the devs of those games, and having put that experience into the Gunvolt games as a spiritual successor of sorts is one of the things that draws me to this franchise. But also, it feels like there's this unique charm to it as well. And so I feel like that's what pulled me into the casual experience and then it made me think, yeah, I want this to be a speed game. And so having gotten invested within the community and all that good jazz has been nothing short of awesome. As for my run that happened during this event, that was actually very interesting because I I I did solo commentary for the first time during a Gunvolt run. Something I was not expecting, but honestly, it's fine because everyone just so happened to be busy, and I know that it if there was any time for me to try this myself, it might as well be now. Because I'm capable of doing solo commentary. I just love sharing the stage with others, especially those I call friends in the community. So if anything, I think the run went very well. I mean, obviously, because I got a PB during that one, so that's one thing. But like seriously, it went quite well in ways that I guess I didn't expect, and for that, I'm grateful.
Nice. Fire Splitter. Outside of the convenience of knowing that all they have to do is kind of stay tuned, tell us on watching your runs.
Yeah, well, what can I say about my runs? The first run I'm gonna run is gonna be a WarioWare run for Get It Together, which is the most recent WarioWare game, and that is a pretty interesting run to watch. As I'm gonna run any percent. Oh my voice is a little bit broken. Gotta take a little water here.
No worries.
But yeah, that's a pretty
Yeah.
interesting run because there's a lot of very funny cutscenes in it. And there is a little story reveal at the end of the run that is kind of fun.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I hear WarioWare and I'm sold, but the humor
Yeah.
is a big selling point of it.
Yeah, the
And then
humor
you're also
is...
running Bleed immediately afterwards, right?
Yeah,
Or
that
Bleed
is a
2, rather.
very, very interesting run, both from a theoretical and execution perspective. It is a very fast-paced action platformer.
Mhm.
That
Yeah, I'd say that's
is...
roughly accurate.
Yeah,
And it's also like score based, if I recall properly.
yeah, it can be score-based, and the
Mm.
score does play in a little bit in some mechanics, but not too much. But what's most interesting about Run and Gun Run is that it is a randomized run.
Ooh.
Yeah, the cores are like semi-randomized, which is very interesting, as I never really know where the enemies are. There are some rules to it which I am making use of, which I might get to talk a little bit about. I'll not spoil too much about that.
Okay. Sure. No, keep something up your sleeve.
Yeah.
I understand. Electric Man, you ran Toy Story 2 Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue, which I happened to I caught that one. So tell us what you liked about it, if there's anything you feel like you could have done better and why people should watch.
Yeah, about that. Toy Story 2, it was my favorite movie growing up as a kid. And the run I actually did was to celebrate the game because I really enjoyed the game growing up as a kid. And I would just play through it over and over and over and over and over again. And I would just get more and more invested into it. And to say that I love the whole entire Toy Story series, minus a little bit of 3 and 4, I'm just feel like platforming licensed games are not really relevant in the current era, and I just wanted to bring the past alive. And I just want to like make jokes along the way. And so in my run, I was just like putting up some like jokes as such as the LGM were otherwise called Little Green Men, as you and so there were a few mistakes on my run and as a whole, but I feel like if there was going to be a category I would get invested into, it could be either 100% or any percent. I prefer one or the other, but I don't mind both categories in general. And I feel like the PlayStation version is definitely not the most run heavy. It's mostly PC or N64 rather on emulator or console. I feel like a PlayStation version of Toy Story 2 Buzz Lightyear Rescue definitely deserves more love than it should, because it is the most accessible version of the Toy Story thing besides PC.
Right on. And I hear that people who enjoy watching your channel and your run should also tune in because it was the first time you'd had your cam on and done a face reveal during a speed run.
I normally don't like reveal my face when I'm running because there's not like a lot of space for my like layout to show my face up. And when I do show my face up, it's mostly for non-speedrun purposes like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or Super Smash Bros. Or some other type of game. It's just you have to feel like you have to feel like you show your emotions just be yourself. Just flex on them, dab on them.
Got it. Speaking of, we had the runner up next, Lance Corporal Falco. If you happen to miss that run and are tuning in now, besides the gigantic PB and the loopy antics, how do you feel things went, and what other reasons might you have for people to tune in and watch your Ape Escape run?
Honestly, you come for the memes, stay for the games. I got a PB, which you saw just now, which I'm pretty happy about, given that I haven't actually touched Ape Escape 3 in about maybe a month, because I'm too busy, because I've been trying to get a world record, well, because there is no time for another game that I've been running. But that's very difficult at the moment, so I thought, you know what? I'm going to take a break from this.
And yeah, you put together a really fantastic run.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I definitely needed Sergeant Silent to keep me awake for that run, because it is now 5:53 a.m. in my time zone.
Ouch.
Shout outs to friends helping you keep it together. Much respect.
Shout outs to my K-Kona friends.
And Retro, Doom Eternal, 100% Nightmare. I mean, that does kind of sound like a run that sells itself, but what would you like us to know about it?
All right. I have to tell you all about how much of a crap storm that was. And it's great. You should, leading up to the events, it was 3 a.m. my time. All my friends are in US and whatnot, and none of them were able to make it because it's 3 a.m. They have to sleep. They have lives. So I ended up having to do solo commentary. And then what happened was I got COVID the week before, so I was just coming off of that. So, sick feelings. And then also, because it's at 3 a.m., I was up for 22 hours at that point. And it was a complete mess. I messed up 2 very essential menus in Doom Eternal, 100% Nightmare. You have to do everything. We have to basically do upgrade challenges throughout the run. We have these little tokens where you can master one. Basically, master one for free, and it's very important how we route those. And I accidentally mismenued in my delirious haze something I should have not mastered. So I had to completely route up on the fly about halfway through the run, work in ticks for another weapon challenge that I could work in and not. So there was a lot of thinking on my feet. And it was also, for people who just don't know, Doom Eternal. It's just a very combat-focused run to where we have to do a lot of challenges and kill things quickly and basically waste no time while doing everything on the highest difficulty. If you want to see something that probably requires a lot of skill and then also went completely wrong, I'd recommend it.
All right. I appreciate it. That sounds like a good old time. And yeah, there's always something to be said for being able to think on your feet. Alrighty, next I've got a little bit of a lightning round question. Everyone just answer, you can give an earnest answer, you can give a joke answer if you like, or just the first thing that comes to your head. What's a topping that other people love on pizza that you can't stand? Osborne.
Oh, the honest answer is that I love everything on pizza. I am not a picky person in the slightest.
Okay, so maybe the answer is not putting enough toppings on a pizza. Alrighty, Tempest, how about you?
I have yet to come across a topping that I don't like. Well, okay. Maybe that's wrong. I can't say I would do anchovies. But what's a topping that I've had that people don't like on a pizza? I'll just go ahead and say I'm sure that if you've heard of Philly cheesesteak pizza, I'm sure some people might not quite be a fan of that, but I most certainly am. I'd love to go get another one at some point or another.
Right on. Fire Splitter, how about you? And if pizza isn't your thing, that's a valid answer too. So everybody keep that in mind.
Well, beside the obvious that everyone always says pineapples, I also really don't like shrimps on pizza.
Okay, yeah, pulling
feel
from
like
the
normally-
pizzas of other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, normally I really love shrimps, but I have a huge problem with shrimps on pizza because it always feels like a little weird because I prefer to eat shrimps cold, and they become like kinda heated on the pizza, which makes them a little bit harder than normal, which is not really my taste, what I like.
Sure. I get that. Yeah, I like a shrimp salad, a shrimp cocktail, and
Yeah,
stuff.
pretty
Some
much,
people
yeah.
swear by shrimp pizza, corn pizza, strange things like that. But all right, Electric Man.
Green peppers, because I'm not a big green fan. I don't even like pickles either.
Look at
They just
that. Now we're getting into it. That's an answer that'll rile rattle some cages and rile some nerves. All right, right on, Lance Corporal.
Okay, this is going to be a very, very controversial take, but I love pineapples on pizza, I love jalapenos, and I love anchovies, so it's not going to be those ones.
Brilliant.
I tell you what doesn't belong on pizza, in my expert opinion, is beef. If you really want to offend me, you have to call a pizza a sandwich because it is absolutely not a sandwich.
Beef is so good.
Cheeseburger pizza not doing anything for you. Got it.
Let's discuss the definition of a sandwich here. I'm just kidding.
Oh no, we don't have time for that. That's an entirely separate marathon. Retro, how about you?
I feel like this is the obvious answer. Pineapple. Get that stuff off my pizza, okay?
Okay, fair enough. Put it in a fruity drink with some alcohol. Don't put it on a pizza.
I'd rather eat the pizza and the pineapple separate. That's all I'm saying.
Fair. All right. We are a little bit behind, so we're not bringing it to a close just yet, but we are coming to one more question that I think will tell everybody a lot about kind of your philosophy as a speedrunner. So, what's a piece of advice you'd give to anyone watching who's afraid to try speedrunning or who wants to run but doesn't know where to start? Osmorn.
A piece of advice: try speedrunning a game that's approachable and that's not too glitch heavy. I feel like a lot of stuff that's more movement based is where you really want to get sink your teeth in the speedrunning. A lot of people want to go through like really popular speedruns, but a lot of really popular speedruns are really intense ones. And that's perfectly fine, but find a beginner friendly one, find stuff that you can get a lot of beginner strats towards and have it still be fun. And another thing that I will say is to don't speedrun your childhood favorite game. I know a lot of people are going to say that you should because for them it works, but for me,
Including some people in this call.
But like for me, it's just I cannot speedrun a game that I love with all of my heart because for me, speedrunning has a lot of ups and downs, had a lot of frustrations, and I do not want to put a game that I put on a pedestal in those frustrating moments. So like speedrun games you want to speedrun games you like speedrunning, but don't speedrun a game that like for at least I don't think you should speedrun a game that you like love with all of your heart casually because that's just going to ruin the experience for you and your perception of that game for me.
Okay, so start small and don't start with something that you love with your whole heart because you may come out the other end different. Got it.
Yeah.
Tempest.
All right. My advice is going to sound a little on the contrary of the last bit Oz said, because I feel as though, for me, my debut speed game, Extreme 2, was one that I loved with all my heart growing up. And part of that, too, was it was the first X game I properly owned. I was always fascinated by X. And so the thought of playing a game fast, and one that I'm sure not a lot of people knew about, was certainly something that I could easily get down with. Then again, on the other hand, I guess because of bosses like Isaz and Suilo, which is the colloquially named Sphinx tank for those that have had a bit of grief with him in the past. Yeah, I mean, sure. I guess maybe I love this game with all my heart, but there was also an annoying part in the casual experience. Tell you what, if you casually think that a game, my advice will be this: if you casually think that a game was great but had some rough moments, or if you think a game was casually bad, consider speedrunning it, because you just might find that the tricks enlighten the experience. I could say that for stuff like say Mighty Number 9, Mega Man X6, any kind of game that has these tricks that allow you to really make some magic, or they're the kind of stuff that I feel like makes speedrunning so fun and accessible. But of course, I do agree that starting with the approachable, simpler stuff is also a good starting point for sure. And most importantly, if you all are a bit tempted, or rather, what's the word, intimidated by the whole PC versus console or whatever split, don't. Try to go with whatever platform is most accessible to you at first. Worry about the optimal stuff later, because this is coming from a guy who recently got a gaming laptop this year, and anytime you saw him, he had to probably use low-end emulators or consoles like his Switch or Xbox. So yeah, basically stuff like that. I'd say that's my advice. Oh, and make a lot
All
of
right.
friends.
Yeah, but if I can boil it down, it's don't be afraid to sift through games and pull out the nuggets of things you think you might like, and then look to those for reasons to run. Fire
Yeah,
Splitter.
that would be good.
Fire Splitter. Any advice for people who are just looking to get into speedrunning and don't know where to start?
Oh, that's actually quite good question. And it's very, very, very dependent from individual to individual. Like, the first important thing is obviously to pick a game. But I think that a lot of people fall into the pitfall of, when they're starting out, that they are looking far too much into other videos about the run before they start to actually run. This might sound really weird coming from me, as I am very, very infamous for watching a lot of videos about stuff, and I basically, before I do runs, I basically personally like watch most runs that are up on the leaderboards, like identify strategies and such. But like, I think that once you start out, you shouldn't do that kind of stuff as a new runner. You should rather like just play around alone at first and like figuring out strats on your own. Then once you have like a solid run, you should like start looking up strats and stuff, because one problem is that, especially if you're gonna start running a more popular speed game like Super Mario 64, say that for example, you can like sit there and learn stuff for months before you even do a run. And that can be very, very discouraging for some people. Like, it's much better to like just start doing runs immediately and like then start to implement strategies and do it step by step to reach your goals that you set along the way, so it doesn't become too overwhelming at first. Because I know it's very tempting to go for very, very, very high goals initially, but that will
Yeah.
most likely discourage you, as it's oftentimes very difficult to reach those goals.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's I can actually kind of personally validate that one. That's what worked for me with my run. I have only very rarely looked at some of the videos to pick up a few remaining tips that other people are working on that I hadn't thought of before. So, thank you for that insight. Electric Man, any words for someone who's either afraid to get started or maybe doesn't know where?
Well, as a former like Smash competitor, I actually like retired from Smash competing, and I would honestly give the advice of speedrunning to just find a game that yeah, I would normally, others in this call should side against it. I actually decide towards it that you should actually run your favorite game, and also run something that that you can handle. I had like some hardware issues, like with an old an old laptop, and it would just barely run these games. Like for when I was doing Pokemon randomized map randomizers, and I was just having like some issues with the game, just like slowing down at points, and that's why I upgraded to a gaming PC. And also, I would also recommend playing or running games that you may have not heard of or not are not even on speedrun.com. Like I actually just got this game called 20 Bunnies, and I actually was thinking, maybe I should make a category of this and make this into speedrun, and I did, and it got on it got up on the site, and now I'm a moderator, and currently the only runner. So if you see a game that you played, it's not on speedrun.com, just request the game, and then you can just start a very good community, and you know and all that. So I personally think that finding new games that aren't on the site at all and that you can handle it with your own hardware is fine enough for me, for my own standards.
Okay, yeah. So think outside the box, but also don't give yourself too many extra problems outside of the game itself.
Yeah,
Lance Corporal, anything?
Basically, I'm going to side with Electric Man and say, run the game you love. I'll also add, when you're learning a speed run, do not watch the world record run. You're not going to perform all these cool, neat tricks like first try. Set yourself a goal. If your goal is to be like maybe 20 minutes off of it or 10 minutes off of it, or if you just want to be 69th place on the leaderboards,
nice,
valid. Absolutely go for that. But there are stick with the easy. Learn the easier strats first. The easy out of bounds or easy stuff. See, I run Simpsons Hit and Run along with Crazy Tone Dog, who ran it a few days ago. Now, I love the 100% category, but warm yourself up to that if you want to ever run a 100% category in a video game, because it's gonna consume your time, and if you don't learn the game's mechanics, how it's gonna work, how the camera can mess with your mojo.
Sure.
It's just easy to
start with the basics. Yeah.
Yes, start with the basics.
I feel like it's meant to be that I'm after this because I got like an opposing view here.
Ooh, okay.
My first speed run was exactly what I ran just a couple days ago. Doom Eternal 100%. I went into that run, no prep. I've watched like the top 3 runs at the time, just skimming through them, stealing basic strats, and I just ran it on a whim one day. Took me 5.5 hours. I had a freaking blast. One thing I say about speedrunning in just in general, something that's very how do I put it? Fundamental, I feel like we didn't touch on, is have fun. I'm pretty sure we all do this as a hobby to have fun, and it's very good just to see a sense of progression towards a goal of getting a time low. I would recommend not to stress about things too early on. Be like me. I just watched a couple runs, did a few basic tech, learned some stuff, and then I was just like, let me give this a try, and then just did it. See if it's for you.
Point. Yeah, the undergirding lesson, I guess, coming away from all of this is find the best way for you to have fun. And it sounds like for all of our runners here, there's a little different piece of advice. Walk into it slowly, play the game you love the most, play a game that you don't hold up on a pedestal. And, if you want to try if I were to add one thing, it would be don't let yourself get discouraged if the first game you try to speedrun doesn't work out. That doesn't mean you aren't going to find a game you love eventually. It just means that one wasn't the right one for you. So, thank you so much to everyone for your time. I appreciate you all giving from your Sunday night, Monday morning, whenever it is for you to come and be here with us. That is everyone in the call and everyone watching on Twitch. It has been my pleasure to be part of this, and we're going to have one of these folks with us continuing on in just a moment. That'll be Fire Splitter, as she said earlier, with WarioWare Get It Together. See you in just a moment.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Good luck on GQ.
GLGL.
Later, everyone.